Ifrit. Masked. A fire aspect icon that first emerged in the year of the realm 860, when Imperial forces attacked the Rosarian stronghold of Phoenix Gate. Clad in infernal flame, the fiendish creature flung itself against the Phoenix, empowering the icon with the strength and ferocity never seen before or since. Unmasked. A fire aspected icon that first emerged in the year of the realm 860, when Imperial forces attacked the Rosarian stronghold of Phoenix Gate. Clad in infernal flame, the fiendish creature flung itself against the Phoenix, overempowering the icon with a strength and ferocity never seen before. Its reappearance was to usher in a second, shocking revelation that its dominant was none other than Clive Rosfield. The Phoenix. Basic information. The Warden of Fire, whose strength resides within Joshua Rosfield, heir to the Rosarian throne. The Phoenix is always born into the docile line and is worshipped by the populace, not least because its flame of both destruction and regeneration have delivered the duchy from disaster many times over. Hidden Truths. The Warden of Fire, last seen on the night of the Imperial invasion of Phoenix Gate in the year 860, where the young Joshua Rosfield lost control of his powers. The Phoenix first awakened among the Motes of Fire, an ancient tribe who dwelled in the western reaches of Storm, and the careful preservation of bloodlines among the Rosarian nobility ensured that its dominant will always be born into the docile line. Following the destruction of Twinside. The Warden of Fire, whose strength resides within Joshua Rosfield, 18 years after the Imperial invasion of Phoenix Gate and Joshua's presumed demise, the Phoenix spread its wings once more in the skies above the crystalline dominion, wings in which resided the flames of rebirth. Ifrit Rising. United. The two icons of fire united as one. Clive and Joshua manifested this being in the skies above the crystalline dominion after entreating their icons to grant them the power they needed to quell the raging Bahamut. It has the body of Ifrit, the wings of the Phoenix, and might that far exceed either icon alone. Hidden Truths. The two icons of fire united as one, with a might that far exceeds that icon alone. With the body of Ifrit and the wings of the Phoenix, its appearance closely resembles that of Ultima, as depicted in the ancient murals of the Circle of Malice. Could this be the final, true form of the vessel that Ultima requires to remake the world? Shiva. Masked. The Warden of Ice, whose appearance on the battlefield makes the enemy's blood run cold. The Ironblood sent Shiva against the Republican forces in the Nisar Defile, where she dueled against Titan, the icon of Earth. Unmasked. The Warden of Ice, of whom Jill Warwick is the current dominant, with her glacial aspect and ability to conjure burial boulders from the ether. Shiva's appearance on the battlefield makes her enemy's blood run cold. Hidden Truths. The Warden of Ice, of whom Jill Warwick is the current dominant. Long before the fall of the Fallen, there existed a tribe in northern western Storm known as the Motes of Ice, among whom the dominant of Shiva will be born. Tales of the Ice Queens of the Old North are passed down among the men and women the northern lands to this day. Ramu. Basic information. The Warden of Thunder, whose power most lately awakened within Sidolphus Telamon. The icon is known the realm over as a symbol of judgment, no doubt inspired by its sagement and the specter with which it summons its divine bolts. Folklore has it that not only are dominants of Ramu blessed with the command of lightning, they are also granted a deeper understanding of the true nature of the world. Hidden Truths. The Warden of Thunder, whose power most lately awakened within Sidolphus Telamon, dominants of the icon most often emerge among descendants of the Motes of Thunder, a tribe who once dwelled in the lands of Central Ash, lands that the Kingdom of Alu now lays claim to. Mayhap in part due to the tribe's competitively advanced learning, Ramu is associated with wisdom and judgment to this day. Garuda. Basic information. The Warden of the Wind, who Benedicta transformed into her ill-fated flight from the Empire. It takes the form of a fearful harpy summoning storms, tearing into the flesh of its prey with hawk-like talons. Such is the Icon's frenzy for destruction that even allies of the Dominant of the Day are wont to begin fleeing the battlefield when dark clouds gather overhead. Hidden truths. The Warden of the Wind, who Benedicta transformed into her ill-fated flight from the Empire. It takes the form of a fearful harpy, summoning storms and tearing into the flesh of its prey like hawk-like talons. Its dominant is most often born among the descendants of the Most of Wind, an ancient tribe that once dwelt in the land spanning the Strait of Arthur, which is now the Crystalline Dominion. Titan. Basic information. The Warden of Earth, of whom Yuga Kuka is the current dominant. He takes the form of a stone-skinned giant whose granite fists shake the earth with every mighty pummel. Titan's dominant awakens among the peoples of the Dalmatian deserts, the recipient of his strength being granted great power and status by the Republic in return for a commitment to protect the nation in times of war. Hidden truths. The Warden of Earth, who takes on the aspect of a fearsome stony giant. He is known to awaken among the descendants of the ancient motes of Earth, a tribe who once dwelt in the deserts of what is now the Dalmatian Republic, both far the largest and the most physical and imposing of all icons. Titan's strength was the bedrock upon which the Republic was built. Bahamut. Basic information. The Warden of Light, whose power dwells within Dion Lesage, Princess Embrek, in the Holy Empire. The Gregorian faithful holds dragons to be sacred creatures, and Bahamut the most scared of them all. Because of this, as well as the protection it grants them, the icon is loved and revered by the imperial populace. Hidden truths. The Warden of Light, whose power dwells within Dion Lesage, Princess Embrek, a tribe known as the Most of Light, once dwelled in the northeast reaches of Storm, where the great city of Oriflame now stands, among which the dominant of Bahamut will always emerge. In modern times, the dominants are often born among the Sembrez nobility, most likely because the tribe's bloodline still runs strong in their ranks. Odin. Basic information. The Warden of Darkness, who rises to battle atop his spectral steed, and whose black blade is said to be the sharpest enough to split the very seas in twain. His latest dominant, King Barnabas of Waloed. Hidden truths. The Warden of Darkness, who rides into battle atop his six-legged steed, black blade in hand. His latest dominant, King Barnabas of Waloed, a man scholars believe to be a descendant of the ancient Most of Darkness, within whose lines all dominants of Odin are born. However, they have as yet been unable to prove this point on account of no records of any Odins before Barnabas Dalmor having come to light. Typhon. Seemingly drawn to the destruction of the heart of Drake's head, Ultima emerged from a tear in reality wearing the skin of Typhon, a withered and wizened colossus, and drew Clive into a space between worlds wherein the ethereal entity might test his worth as a vessel. Infernal Icon. A form long since discarded by Ultima that brings to mind Ifrit, the icon manifested by Clive. It is seemingly incomplete, lacking as it does the wings of the being created when Clive and Joshua combined the powers of Ifrit and the Phoenix. Interdimensional Ultima. In order to further test the strength of the vessel Mutos, Ultima lured both Clive and Joshua deep into the shadowy depths of his faction mind, where he faced the brothers clad in the remnants of his erstwhile flesh, the Infernal Icon. Chirata. An ethereal conjuration summoned forth by Benedicta Harmon when Clive encountered the Dominant of Wind near Lostwing. Despite their size, the creature's heavily feathered wings did not seem to hamper its movements, with which was discerningly nimble. More so than speed, though it was Shirada's array of powerful magics that set it apart from lesser foes. Suparna, a ethereal creation of Benedict the Harmon, dominant of wind, when summoned in Karen Norvin alongside her twin, Shirada, the pair worked in tandem to attempt to overwhelm Sid and Clive, wielding a panoply of potent magics and deadly aerial assaults. Liquid Flame, an ever-shifting mass of living flame that rose from the fiery pools of Drake's breath in what appeared to be response to an unwanted trespasser to the Mother Crystal's inner sanctum. Possessed with both the swiftness and temper of an untamed wildfire, the creature rained fury down upon the intruders, wielding the molten lifeblood of sacred Mount Trustinus like it were but fistfuls of mud. Goblins. Basic information. A common species of beastmen. While at first glance they seem like mindless predators, goblins have their own unique language and are skilled enough to both cast magics and make rudimentary tools and weapons. While most are mostly found on the continent of Storm, the spread of the Blight has forced them to find homes nearby human settlements, a move that often ends in the misunderstanding and bloodshed. Intercultural exchange. A common species of beastmen, found mostly on Storm. They have habitually avoided contact with the other races, be them beast or man. The continued spread of the Blight, however, has driven the creatures to find homes near human settlements, making violent encounters more commonplace. That said, a rare few have been found to possess the ability to cruelly converse and at times even cooperate with humankind. Gigas. As they are often witnessed in the presence of goblins, many believe these lumbering brutes to be goblins themselves, albeit ones that have grown to prodigious size. Scholars, however, deny these claims and insist the two tribes are independent and their relationship a symbiotic one, with the Gigas providing protection to the slighter goblins, who in turn provide the craftless giants with sun-dried arms and vestries as the charnel carnates created from the bones of their victims. The spread of the Blight has seen both tribes impinge on human territory with increased frequency, and recent spottings having put them as close to this civilization as 3 reeds in Rosaria. Orcs. Basic information. A warlike, yet surprisingly organized species of beastmen native to Ash. They have long been in conflict with the Reluters over control of the continent and currently count the bulk of its eastern half as their own. However, the encroaching Blight continues to eat into the amount of livable land, making the fight for more territory ever more vital. At Drake's Fang. A species of beastmen native to Ash, orcs have historically lacked the means with which to cross the Strait of Arthur and make ingress into Storm. However, rumors of their having been sighted at Drake's Fang have begun to spread as of late, along with speculation that they might even have joined forces with their longtime enemy, the Kingdom of Elude. Under new leadership. A species of beastmen native to Ash. Though they were seen fighting alongside Reluder forces in both Dhalmekia and the free cities of Canva, the death of King Barnabas saw a shift in their allegiance, and they now bent the knee to Ultima and no other. Chimeras. That there might exist a creature so terrible, so twisted as the tricephalic horror that is the Chimera, is a striking reminder of madness of whatever deity first whispered life into them. It is not enough that the winged demons are both astonishingly aggressive and adept in the manipulation of ether, but they are also able to wield their influence over other beasts, commanding them like a field marshal might his regulars. Fortunately, they are seen only rarely and only deep in the deserts of Dhalmekia. Griffins. Fantastical abominations of nature, upon which the crown and wings of an eagle have been fused to the legs and loins of a fierce land cat. They hunt their prey on high, circling a victim unseen before, descending at terrible speeds, claws first, to tear its throat. Should their prey prove more formidable, griffins have often been known to call upon the very winds to both slice and suffocate the quarry, Fortunately, these predators rarely descend from their mountain lairs and sightings are few and far between. Bighorns. Found to graze primarily in the emerald meadows of Rosaria or in the windswept savannas of Dalmatia, bighorns are easily recognized by the infamous growths, the leaves of which can often exceed several score hands, that jut sidewise from their crowns. These horns, as well as the hard-wearing hides, are prized through Valesty and can be bought and sold at markets all over the realm. Caution, however, is recommended when hunting the creatures, as they are highly territorial and will charge relentlessly at anything they might stray into their line of sight. Antelopes. A large herbivorous creature found mainly on storm. It has distinctive, elaborate antlers and long, sinuous limbs, which it uses to leap gracefully into the air. It attacks mainly with its antlers and rear legs, but many hunters are prepared to face such dangers nonetheless, in order to acquire the lustrous supply pelts for which these noble beasts are famed. Curls. Sleek bodied creatures with coats of silk's fur. Curls are anything but soft. They will attack their prey viciously with toothed claw and even whiskers, the latter of which can be used to generate powerful bolts of heart-stopping levian. Though native to the arid climes of Dalmatia, curls have been known to wander far in search of new territory, and rumors place them as far north as Dragon's Eyrie and Simbrek. Panthers. Argentine predators known best for their brilliant spotted coats and a proclivity to lives of solitude. As is the case with most felines, the animals are severely strong-willed in effort by the Republican Army to harness their inborn speed and ferocity for use on the battlefield has been met with the varying degrees of success. Varying. Megalocrabs. Making a habitat of waters both fresh and brackish. These goodly crescents spend most of their time buried in the mud where they warm their sanguine humors as they wait for a potential meal to run them by. Since the time of the founder, the people of Rosaria have hunted megalocrabs for its sweet, selected flesh and creamy tourmalet. The species having long been known amongst the small folk as fire crab for the bright red color and phoenix-like patterns which emerge on the shells after boiling. Cray claws. Found mostly in and around the lakes and rivers of Simbrek and Rosaria, these deadly predators are equipped with scissor-like pincers with which to dismember and eviscerate their prey. If that were not enough, the creatures take in water from their habitat to create highly corrosive juices in their bellies, which then they spit out on their victims' flesh to soften it and make it easier to consume. Chocobos. Favorite steeds of the people of Valesty. While they are mainly bred for riding, some are used to pull wagons and some are even eaten, but the boldest and bravest are put forward for use by the military. They are intelligent and fiercely loyal creatures and tend to tolerate only their master's attention. Wild chocobos are no less vigilant and will readily attack anyone they perceive to be a threat. Anyone who isn't carried a fistful of gracile greens, that is. Raptors. Though still widely believed by the common folk of Simbrek to be descendants of dragons on account of their lengthy wings, meagerness of plumage, and a distinct ability to spit fire, learned scholars have long since concluded that these deceptively reptilian creatures are none other than birds of prey which, over countless centuries of hunting creatures on the ground, have simply lost their capacity for flight. Vultures. Opportunistic avians that, like many other predatory birds, prefer to stealthily swoop down on foes from above and skewer them with their razor-sharp beaks. Though they are thought to primarily feed on carrion, traveling in large flocks in search of the dead and dying, it is not uncommon for vultures to attack living prey, even times are lean. If you happen to hear their eerily human-like caws, it squawks and wobbles, it is best to find cover and quickly. Wolves. Individually lacking in both strength and speed to subdue prey of any considerable size, wolves will instead hunt in packs, communicating amongst one another as men might, so as to overwhelm their victims. And, while forever wary of their creatures, some breeds have been found to be more willing to form bonds with humankind, and thus can be found everywhere, from traveling menageries to elite infantry units in the Imperial Army. Following rumors of children being mauled by wolves, the duchy ordered a mass culling of the beasts, which saw their numbers in Rosaria reduced to almost none. Scorpions, with pincers the size of boulders and a hooked tail as long as a chocobo is tall. Merely the sight of a scorpion is enough to strike fear to even the most hardened of warriors. That said, the poison contained in their stingers is actually far weaker than those of their lesser cousins, and is primarily used to stun rather than kill. They favor deserts and are harder climbs, and as such are found mostly in Dalmatia, as well as the fairy mountains of the Iron Kingdom. Black Widows. Unlike many Archons, which use gossamer webbing to ensnare their victims, Black Widows prefer instead to cling silently to trees and cliffs and await the passing of an animal below, at which time they leap down and assault their prey with hooked limbs and caustic spit. They prefer dark, cool environments, and such are rarely seen in relatively southern deserts. Hornets. Most commonly found in the wilderness of Rosaria and western Sembrek. Hornets are often mistaken for birds due to their prodigious size. This mistake, however, can prove deadly, for the overgrown insect are extremely territorial and highly aggressive, and will attack aught that might venture near their hive, using stingers laden with a poison potent enough to subdue a creature as large as a wyvern. Marbles. The foul cocktail of bile and partially disgusted prey. The accumulates within these giant carnivore plants' bellies that their breath so particularly rancid that it can be used as a weapon to repel would-be attackers. Marbles favor more humid climates such as found on the volcanic isles of the Iron Kingdom. However, the spread of the blight has driven the mobile flora to cooler areas such as the swamps of Rosaria. Vampire thorns. While most floral is thought as a stationary, roots binding them to the soil upon which their march's seeds first fell, there are some species that have an uncanny capacity for locomotion, species such as northern storm's vampire thorn. Instead of drawing nutriment from the earth, these creatures like plants hide themselves in the undergrowth where they wait for prey to happily stumble by, at which time they rush out, emanating a foul cloud of mind-numbing pollen and vicious sap to disorient the victim while they strike and strangulate it with a pair of frightening long vines. Minotaurs. Towering beastmen that combine the heads of oxen with bodies eerily human. Minotaurs are abnormally aggressive, a trait that suggests that little man remains within the beast, and roam the grassy meadows of Rosaria. They are violence, seemingly indiscriminately with their crude yet massive clubs. Despite the obvious danger, however, hunters still actively seek out these menaces for their luxurious manes, which often command exhibition prices at markets. Animatoids. Enormous creatures with nigh impenetrable and oddly fertile shells that play host to diverse flora that provide the painful, conspicuous reptiles with much needed camouflage in the bogs and fens they call their homes. At a glance, these lumbering giants may not appear much of a threat, but at the first sign of danger they will retract their heads and limbs and whip themselves into a frantic spin that have been known to flatten entire homes. Bahamutes. Towering agents of destruction, known for their distinctive dual horns and a roar that can topple the mighty heavens. Simply, the mention of one has been known to instill fear in the hearts of even the most seasoned of warriors, and such few ever venture to hunt these beasts of legend, leaving them to roam the blackened hills of ash undisturbed. That is, save the scent few the royal army has somehow remarkably managed to fetter and tame for deployment on the front lines of battle. dragonettes. Dinosaur dragons, known for their nimbleness and flight, these specimens of the Sambrax species, known more commonly as the worm or worm, are somewhat easily tamed, and as such widely employed in the battle of the Imperial Legions. Advices: battling dragons whose membranous wings are attached to their forelegs rather than their torsos, and end in hook-like talons used to rip apart the flesh of their prey. Their abundance in northwestern storm eventually resulted in mass domestication by the Imperial Legion, which, alongside the spreading of the blight, drove remaining populations south to the desert of Dalmatia, where they now struggle for supremacy while existing species. Fauna of the North. An ancient dragon adapted exclusively for life on the ground, and as such is encased in a thick, bony armor. Though its kin once claimed dominion over the northern territories, the spread of the blight inevitably forced this once gentle giant south in search of prey. Dragons. Majestic winged beasts that are commonly considered to be some of Valisi's most ancient creatures, albeit rarely sighted in modern times. There are countless myths and legends regarding dragons, one of the most prominent being that Valisi itself was formed when a mighty drake fell from the sky. According to the Gregorian faith, dragons were created by the goddess herself to serve as a holy sentinel over her earthly demesnes, and as such have long employed the Holy Empire Sembrek and various martial roles within and without the Imperial Legion. Ultima Prime. One of Ultima's many discarded avatars, this iteration of the self-proclaimed deity was awaiting Clive, Joshua, and Dion upon their arrival above Origin. Though structurally similar to the Infernal Icon, sentries within the Dark Crystal served to dramatically slow its deterioration, preserving both form and function. Stoluses. Owls capable of transmitting the thoughts of others, specifically those with whom they are attuned. In response to an ancient incarnation, their lithified third eye stored these thoughts in the form of ether, allowing them to be passed on as and when required. Though only to be intended recipients, stoluses are mainly kept by royals, nobles, and other figures of authority for the purpose of sending secret or urgent messages, and are seldom available to common folks. The incarnation O, Mia Lost Ellen, Sul Isagi Isag Ileti, can be loosely translated as "My will is now thy burden, near cleft all bond shall be." Iron Giants. Oversized suits of armor, animated by lost fallen magics. Deceptively swift despite their size, they wield both sword and shield skillfully and effectively, while the otherworldly play which surrounds their valuable cores provide them with a nigh impenetrable defense. Airmen. With their single unblinking eye, these winged horrors ever scan the horizon, seeking their next victims, using the singular ability to bend the very air around themselves and leap across great distances to take prey unawares. Those few who manage to survive the preliminary assault, however, are soon faced with a second horror, a crippling curse whispered from the lips of an abyssal wall, leaving them with but moments to eliminate their fates. Flan. Massive amorphous beings capable of bending and distorting their glutinous forms into almost any shape imaginable, making them not only notoriously difficult to find, but almost entirely impossible to kill, as the most cuts merely melt back into the existing flesh within the matter of moments. These creatures can be found in all corners of Valisi, though their heightened sensitivity to the subtleties of their environments mean that their outward hue can widely from region to region, hence the variety of names, Bartifice, Galito, and a Fool, by which they are known. Bombs. Floating masses of self-contaminated flames found across both storm and ash. These creatures lack the flesh with which we associate the typical fawn. leading scholars of the natural world to point that they are not descendants of any beast, but rather ungodly creations of the fallen. By suppressing their internal furnaces, bonds can allow their bodies to cool and harden until appearing naught but more than simple stones unworthy of remark. It is in this form that they hunt their prey, waiting for an unfortunate soul has stumbled upon their place of rest before rising from the ground to spew forth fiery gouts of death. Oddly, should the prey fight back, the bond will not flee, but rather combust spontaneously, sacrificing its own life to save the flock. Ultimalis. True name of the incarnation of Ultima that brought the last of his race to safety in Valestig. When Origin was buried beneath the earth in order to absorb the ether, it would need to rebuild the world. A great shrine was placed in the sky above, from which humanity could be looked down upon. Having granted the man the gift of magic, the seeds that will grow into a prophecy of the Savior to come, Ultimalis placed his brethren into a eon-spanning sleep, that they might one day rise again.